Hi, I'm Mitch Shoemaker, and today is day 76 of my doing 100 days of YouTube videos and focusing on my writing. Anyway, you can tell if that was my ear or hair. It just looks funky on the side there. I apologize. I'm not used to doing my hair this way. I'm thinking totally 80s hairdo, just for fun. Just for fun today. Randomly, that has nothing to do with my day 76 of writing, but yay, I made it to day 76 of writing, so I'm very happy about this. And I did do my writing. I just kind of opened up my laptop and worked on Mausolea, the wise one. I did chapter 13 today. It was quite interesting. I used the word power way too many times, so I need to find other words to use that. I might have to get out my thesaurus. Thesaurus. That's a hard word for me to say, apparently. But I did not tonight. I just changed it to like energy and source or something and just kind of left it at that and left it used multiple times. But the part about it is, for me, I was remembering something in my head about the conversation between the characters in this chapter not making sense. Um, and then reading the chapter and feeling like it made sense to me. Like I couldn't see the discrepancy or the issue of what it was previously. So either that means I fixed it previously and that's why it's all okay, or I remembered things incorrectly, or that is how I perceive things for my characters and it works for me, but I guessing it may not have worked for someone else, possibly my mentor, because I think she's the only other person that would have read that. But I don't remember because it's been like a year since I worked on it. So maybe it hasn't quite been that long, but it's been a while. Anyway, so I don't know what's going on with that. Um, anyway, I don't know what's going on with that. I know what's going on in the story. I know what's going on with the characters. I actually liked the chapter. I liked the scene. I liked the way that it was set up. I did change a few things. I did tighten some of the content. I did try to remove some more of the words like the ever and things like that I don't want to use to make it more the language for my made-up world. And getting rid of all of the contractions and things like that. But for the most part, I mean, it was really good. Unlike what I did yesterday, where I just kept taking myself out of the story because I was like, I'm missing words and this doesn't even make sense. Like, what was I thinking when I typed this up? So, very different writing from what I was looking at yesterday to what I was looking at today. So it kind of, I guess, shows some progress or differences, things that I've actually fixed, things that I haven't. And then, of course, chapter 14 looks like it just has a whole bunch of notes as to what should be happening in the next few chapters in line with the story. So, yay, that means tomorrow, if I stick to this story, I get to start writing something new in my story. And if not, I will start working on something else. Which brings me to the rest of my day. Things to talk about, things to think about, things that I am doing, not doing, I don't know. Mostly my little control issues that I am becoming a little bit more aware of, or my perfectionist issues, or whatever you want to call them. I have lots of issues. But I went to, I did like a virtual 12-step meeting today, and the topic was somewhat, it wasn't specifically control, but a lot of people talked about control and the illusion of control and trying to control other people and situations and things like that. And so I found out some information today. My sister sent me a text message about something that happened to her, and I laughed. I didn't tell her that I laughed because it was in a text message, but I laughed. And I've told a couple other people that I think it's hilarious. I think it's funny. And part of me feels like maybe that's horrible because I should not laugh at my sister and what's happened to her, because it's an uncomfortable situation for her and she's not going to feel good for a while, which is really sad for her, but it was funny to me. It's one of those ironic situations where she has been trying to convince me that I need to do certain things and I need to take certain things seriously. And she has been doing all of these things to prevent this thing from happening. And it happened to her and it hasn't happened to me. And I just thought it was one of those funny, ironic things that she's done all of these things to try to control something, and she was unable to control it, and it still happened anyway. And I have just been like, well, if it happens, it happens, and if it doesn't, it doesn't, and I'm just not going to worry about it. I just don't think there's anything to worry about. So I'm just the complete opposite and doing the bare minimum that I have to do. And so that's not even a topic of conversation that I can have with my sister without getting into some kind of argument. Usually her just telling me, how wrong I am about everything and how she knows everything so much better. And I love my sister. This is not meant to be a negative thing on my sister. I apologize. I really need to write this in my journal. I'll probably feel better if I do that. But I think it was just one of those things for me that was just kind of like, it was funny because I'm looking at this situation from a viewpoint of being in a 12-step program, of learning that I am not in control. I didn't cause it, I can't control it, and I can't cure it. And with everything that's going on right now, that's basically what's happening. And it's interesting that as a person that, goes because of friends and family in my life that have addictions or have had addictions that have affected my life. So I go to my 12-step meetings. But I have learned that I can't control their lives, that I don't like having my life controlled or people trying to control my life either. So that was a good topic for me today, the whole control thing. And I think that also goes along with my trying to force myself to do things and to do things in a certain order, or, that somehow I can just make things be different in my life. And I can't. I can try, and I can stick to schedules occasionally, but not all the time. And I can try to, make up stuff. And I was thinking about doing that tonight, writing things, and doing a list. I wanted to make an Excel spreadsheet and do like a list, a schedule, and just type up what I'm going to do, what, and how it's all going to happen, and how my life is going to work. And I was putting my clothes away, and I started just laughing at myself because I realized that I'm doing the very same thing that I'm laughing at my sister for. So, and that's that she's been trying to control something and can't, and it's ironic to me. And although I do feel bad for her circumstances, and I feel bad for what happened to her, and I know that she's not going to feel well for a while, it will be okay. I find the irony in the fact that she's done all of these things and she could not prevent or stop this from happening. And I have been far less concerned about those things because I know I have no control over what's going to happen. So I'm not going to try to change my entire life and my world to try to prevent something that I have absolutely no control over. And I still have absolutely no control over it, and it has affected me in other ways that I have no control over as well. But I haven't got what she's got, so I'm grateful for that. And I just I thought it was funny, but I also thought it was kind of a reflection on myself and kind of a realization of things that are going on in my life right now, where I have a tendency to think that I can control my feelings, that I can stuff them, that I can avoid them, or that I can do certain things or tell God how I'm going to do things and how it's going to work and dictate to him my whole list of things. And I realized tonight that's exactly what I was trying to do. And I'm pretty sure God's just laughing at me and going, okay, Midge, whatever. That's really nice. You think that's going to happen that way, but you know better. So and the funny thing is I've had impressions, I've had revelations, I've had ideas that I know God has put into my mind. And I have a tendency to say, that's nice, God, but I would like to do it this way, and this is how I'm going to do it, and this is when I'm going to do it. And then nothing that I do works out. And God's like, okay, Midge, are you ready yet? Are you ready? And I'm like, no, I'm going to do this and this because I don't want to do that one thing. And then I do that one thing, like the other night when I just cried. And I felt so much better. And I was like, yeah, I could have done that a long time ago. But I avoided. I thought I could control it. I thought if I don't let myself cry, I don't have to feel those feelings, and they can't affect me. They can't hurt me. They can't do whatever to me. But the bottom line is they become this heavy weight. They become a heavy burden, and it makes it harder for me to get out of bed. It makes it harder for me to function. Makes it harder for me to want to proceed with all of my goals and the things that I have set forth that I want to do with my life. And it distracts me from my focus. It distracts me from my writing. It distracts me from working. It distracts me from living my life. And I don't like those distractions. Okay, I do like the distraction of playing games on my phone and other things. I just don't like feeling unproductive or feeling like I'm lazy. I don't like feeling like I'm beating myself up constantly doing the little roller coaster ride thing. Because sometimes I feel like what God is asking me to do, even though it's very simple, is very hard. Because it requires me to take a good look at myself. It requires me to feel all of these feelings, old, new, yes, old and new. I think those are the only types, feelings. And I have been told I have the mental ideas, knowledge, all of those things. But I think wisdom is when you actually put into action the knowledge and the things that you know, when you actually do what you say or what you think or what you preach. It's knowing how to use all of the tools to the information that you have. I think that's what it is. Wisdom is knowing how to use the information that you have. Knowledge is just having a whole bunch of information. I'm like, I got a whole bunch of information. I got a whole bunch of ideas. But actually implementing them, actually making them work in my life is a completely different story. It's always easier said than done. I got the saying part down. Awesome. I could do this. It's the doing part that trips me up all the time, as you can see from watching my videos. So I think today the irony of that just hit me, that I have been trying to control, I have been trying to avoid certain things in my life because they're just going to go away if I ignore them. And they don't. They just pile up and get worse, and it becomes more overwhelming, and I just continue to put on my little blinders and pretend that nothing is happening. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. But that is my form of control, or my form of perfectionism, because if I don't share those things, then you can't see my imperfections. If I don't face my feelings, then I can't face my imperfections. If I don't finish my books, if I don't publish my books, then you can't see my imperfections. So, but I need to finish them. I need to let them go, because letting them go is a release. It's healing. It's a weight off of my shoulders. It's freeing. It's the freedom that I've been praying for, that I've been asking for. And God is like, this is how you do it, Midge. This is how you do it. Go for it. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing it. And then I stop. Wait. What did you say I was going to do again? Like, this ain't happening. And God just keeps going, come on, Mitch, come on. He's like that little cheerleader. Only instead of my seeing him as a cheerleader, I see him as kind of like the little pest that keeps nudging me, saying, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I'm like, I don't want to do it. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week. I'll do it next month. Can we just change that to something else? And then it's like, you asked for this, remember? I'm like, you wanted this. Remember, you asked for this. Asked for my help to change. You asked for my help to write your books. You asked, okay, fine, I'll do it. And then I do it, but it's kind of a begrudging little thing, or I'm just so overwhelmed and I can't control it anymore. I can't hold it in anymore, and it just flows out. And then, surprisingly, I feel better. Surprisingly, things get done. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, God knows what he's doing. I don't know what I'm doing. And so tonight, when I was thinking about making my list and making my Excel spreadsheet, I was remembering my laughing at my sister for all the things she tried to do to prevent something and it didn't work, and my meeting about being controlling. And here I am trying to make a list of things to force myself to stick to a specific schedule, not asking God what it is he wants me to do or what order he wants me to do it in, and just saying, I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna make something up and hope that he's gonna help me fix it, to do it, because that's what I think will work to fix my life. And some of the things that I want to do are things that I feel that God has inspired me to do or prompted me to do, and I have just been putting off doing it. So I'm sure that He will help me accomplish it. I just need to remember that when I'm doing it, I need to put God first. I need to ask Him, what should I be working on as far as my writing goes today? What do I need to do today? What friends do I need to reach out and touch? What work do I need to do today? What things from my past do I need to face? Or how can I stay in the moment and enjoy just what's happening around me today instead of worrying about what's happening in the past or the future, or instead of trying to plan every single detail of my life, which is impossible, and then setting myself up for disappointment. Because to me, that's what I do. When I set these expectations and I set these schedules and these goals that are um, they're I my mind went temporarily blank. They're good goals. They're nice goals, but I think they are sometimes to the extreme. They are one of those, what's that saying, biting off more than you can chew. So it's not something that I can't do at some point in my life, but it's something I think I need to build up to, that I need to work towards, not something that I can do overnight, like I keep expecting myself to. And it's also things that I forget to ask God if that's the right direction for me to go in. Because I have a tendency to think, this is how I'm going to live my life. This is what I want to happen. And then I tell God, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Help me make it happen. And I think He just kind of smiles. And He's like, okay, if you want to try that, go for it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And I'm like, why is this not working? It's like, because that's not what I told you to do. Or that's not how I told you to do it. Or it's not working because I'm not doing what He's told me to do. And I was like, okay, but I just want to skip this one part. So I'm doing everything else, but I'm just skipping this one part. Like, I'm just not writing in my journal, but I'm doing everything else. Okay, but you still need to write in your journal. Like, okay, fine, I'll write in my journal. Yeah. But I enjoy writing in my journal. I feel better when I write in my journal, and I know that. And then I think, okay, I need to make my 100 days be 100 days of writing in my journal, or 100 days of personal things that I need to do. And I thought about that. I thought about my friend's suggestion to do that as well. I mentioned that, I think, in my video yesterday. And the thought that I had today was that although I share some personal things on my journey towards getting my books published, or towards creating these YouTube videos, my goal, my purpose in doing these YouTube videos is to put myself out there, to advertise myself as a future author, to share the process that I'm going through in writing my books, to hopefully help other people that are struggling with meeting their goals and the processes that they're going through, to know that you're not alone, that there's a way up, there's a way out, there is hope through our Savior, and through the Savior Jesus Christ, and He can heal us. And you can see how that's worked in my life, and I can share some of those things. I'm sharing some of those things in my book, Recognizing God's Hand in My Life. Those are the goals. That is the purpose behind making these videos. It is not the purpose behind to write or discuss my personal, what's in my personal journal, what's in my individual personal goals. And I may share some things that I do, like I write in my journal, or I read my scriptures and meditationals, but I don't always share the spiritual insights I get from doing those things, or the peace that I get. I mentioned I get some peace from it. I got some healing. I get some answers. But I don't share all of the details of all of that, or all the people in my life. I don't share all of those details. That's not what the purpose of these videos is for, I don't think. And so I think these are things that I still need to do, that I will share if I'm doing or not doing in my videos, but I don't think I'm going to make them something that I do for 100 days. And I may share about doing some exercising and some other things that I'm doing as I'm trying to improve things in my life, because I want to share what works and what doesn't work. And I know that when I write in my journal and I take my vitamins, my little DDR prime that helps my emotional state of mind, that I do better in my day. And I know you can tell from my attitude when I make these videos if I've had enough sleep, if I've been reading my scriptures and meditationals, if I've been writing in my journals, if I've been, because I'm so full of gratitude, or I'm so happy, I'm so at peace with what I'm doing in my life, or I am just venting because I'm having a rough time and I'm struggling to get out of bed because I am not doing the things that God wants me to do to help me to feel better, to help me to face my day-to-day things. And the problem is if I don't face what's going on every day, even if it's good things, if I don't write them down, they still weigh me down, which is weird because you would think the good, happy things wouldn't weigh me down, but it feels like they do just as much. Maybe not as much, but they're still spinning around in my head. I'm still holding on to them instead of writing them down and letting them go and moving on. So my mind keeps going to the past or to the future or to some other story in my head to avoid having to deal with whatever's in my present moment, which isn't bad. My present moments aren't bad. I don't have a bad life. I don't have horrible things happening to me. I just I just don't process those emotions if I don't have to write them down, if I don't talk to other people, if I just, play my games all day and avoid everything. So I think God has given me lots of different avenues, including these videos, in which to process things so that I can be healthy, so that I can be happy, so that I can fulfill my goals and my dreams, so that I can become a published author. I may never become famous. I may never have a monetized YouTube channel. I may never have millions of viewers, but I'm hoping that it will reach the people that it needs to be reached by what I have to share or what I have to say. And maybe I'm the only person that's going to get anything out of these videos, but I feel like it's helpful to me. And I know I do have my vision board friend that watches these, so I'm grateful that she watches them. And she just reminds me how much we're alike and how much she understands. And I think that's the point, is to help other people not feel so alone, that we're all on this journey together. And even though we all have a different story, we all end up with the same emotions and the same struggles. And a lot of the things that we do to get through them are very similar and can help other people. And some of them are very personal and they may or may not help other people. And what works for me may or may not work for you. So I'm not saying do everything I'm doing. I'm just saying that find what works for you and ask God to help you what that is, to tell you what that is, to guide you, and be willing to listen to the answers and to do it. Because that is my problem, because I get the answers, I know what they are, and then I just am like, okay, can I do it later? Can I do it tomorrow? Can I do it next week? And God's just like, okay, Midge, you can do it whenever you want to, but you're still gonna be miserable and complaining until you actually decide to do it. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but it means I have to change. It means I have to do something different. It means I have to face things, and I don't want to. I want to control things. I want to bury things. I want to put on a happy face, put on a front, and that's what I've been trained to do. So those are default settings I'm trying to undo. I am trying to remember that feelings are not good or bad. They're just feelings, and that crying can actually be good and healing. It's not a bad thing. They're not bad emotions. Sometimes they're just uncomfortable. And oddly enough, sometimes it's uncomfortable for me to be happy and at peace as much as it is for me to be sad and miserable. And oftentimes I think I'm more comfortable with being miserable or depressed or blasé, because that's been the majority of my life, because I've just been holding on to all of my stuff, and I've just had a gloomy Gus day, an Eeyore day most of my life, because that's what I thought life was. And then I have like these good happy days, and I was like, where's the trick? This is really cool. This is really fun. Where's the trick? Where, like I struggle to let myself enjoy something that's happy, because, or it's like, I got to do this and it was so happy and it was so nice, but it only lasted for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, it's over now, and I'm so depressed and disappointed because I had 5 minutes of fun. It doesn't even make sense to me in my brain that I would do things like that. But I do that because I'm like, I wanted more and I only got a little bit, and it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. I need more. I need more. And so when I go back to my, little depressed state or woe is me kind of a thing, instead of like, oh, hey, I had 5 minutes of happy. Or when I get those moments of I'm just at peace and there's nothing going on in my mind, there's nothing to worry about, there's nothing to do, I can just relax and enjoy because I've done everything. And then I'm just sitting there like, this is weird. I don't know what to do with peace. I need to find something in my head. I need to make something up. I need to, I go stir crazy. I don't know how to just relax and enjoy being at peace and being comfortable and learning to be comfortable in my own skin. So, and doing all of this writing and different things, I have found things to write in this process that have brought me a lot of joy, that have shown me a lot of things about myself, especially those poems that I've been doing. And my sister informed me that they are called crossticks poems, acrostic poems or acrostic poems, something like that. She had to say that word like 5 times before I could even say it back to her, and I still don't think I'm saying it right. So, but it's the name poems. It's the Merry Christmas one that I made up when I was doing one of my videos. It's the one I did with my name with Midge Shoemaker that my friend was so sweet and printed out for me, and I really need to hang that up because that would be so cool. Because I like that, especially the little shooting star she put on it. So I have learned that I can write a lot of fun things, happy things, joyful things to bring peace to other people. I have read some very sad things, some very difficult things. I have opened up a lot of old wounds and old things. And the interesting part about going through the second time of recognizing God's hand in my life is that as I go through and as I write some of these things, I feel like I'm finally forgiving people from my past. I'm finally letting go of the hurt as I write this book. And I think part of me just doesn't want to finish it because I've gotten so used to those resentments. I've gotten so used to those as my excuses for why I am the way that I am, or why I don't trust people, or other things like that. And I think God is slowly taking away my excuses. He's like, you don't have any more excuses, Midge. You got to keep going. There's so much more. And there's so much peace to find in doing that and forgiving and letting go. And it's like, okay. But then part of me actually kind of feels a little bit guilty, like actually the idea of publishing it, because I'm like, well, now I'm kind of forgiving these people and I'm not angry or bitter anymore. I'm like, should I still share it with the world? And I know the answer to that is yes, because I know what I went through. I know recognizing God's hand in my life in this process is something that will help other people to see that forgiveness is the right path for them, that God is there, that there's a way up, there's a way out, there is hope, that there is always light in their lives, that they are not ever alone in spite of the trauma. And I'm sure the trauma of other people's lives, I know there's lots of people that have had things way worse than me. Even some of my siblings have had things way worse than me. But for whatever reason, it feels like it falls to me to write my history, to share that part of my life in my book. And so I need to be willing to face the rest of those emotions and it's not a whole lot left. I don't think there's that many pages left or that many chapters or sections to figure out. I think most of it's written down. It's just kind of trying to figure out how to put it in the right order and how to express my gratitude to my Heavenly Father and how to show that I recognize His hand in my life. And sometimes I didn't recognize it at the moment, but I can see it now and the lessons that I've learned in looking back. But it has offered me the opportunity to do a lot of healing. And again, it has offered me an opportunity to see a lot of character defects or a lot of things and choices that I make where I basically try to control things that I have no control over. So I turn into a crazy person. And I also do that when other people tell me what to do and how to do things. And they're good things and they're nice things. And I'm just like, hey, I had a friend. I haven't really talked to him in quite a while, but every time we'd get together, I'd tell him what I was working on, and he would try to add to my to-do list for me. He would be like, oh, that's really good. You should do this. You should do that. I told him I finished my 100 days of gratitude. He's like, oh, good. You should make it 200 days. And I'm like, no, I'm going to work on 100 days of writing now. And he's like, oh, okay. And I think it actually like hurt his feelings or disappointed him somehow because I wasn't accepting his ideas for my life. And I'm like, I'm not telling you what I'm doing so you can tell me how to change it. I'm not telling you what I'm doing so you can suggest what else I can add to it. Because I'm struggling as it is to do what I'm telling you I'm doing. And I'm trying to share what I'm doing and being excited about what I'm doing in my life. And I don't need you to be like, that's not good enough. You need this and this and this. And I think that's a trigger for me. I think that was a huge trigger for me to feel like I wasn't good enough, because I've spent most of my life growing up feeling like I wasn't good enough, and what I had to offer as far as my writing isn't good enough, or my speeches like this aren't good enough. And yet I've been doing it, and I have been growing in my confidence and in my writing abilities. And I am amazed at the comparison that I can make. Missed a few words from chapters yesterday. I've had days where I've read stuff and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really good. And I am so totally into my own story. And I was like, oh wait, I wrote this. This is awesome. So I I love to be able to see that. And I am so grateful that God has inspired me to make these videos, because it has made me accountable to myself. This has probably been the most consistent I have been at sticking to my goals and at consistently doing videos. And I know it hasn't been consistently at each time of the day. And I know I have gotten crazy creative as to what I'm doing with my writing. And I started big and huge at the very beginning. And now I'm just like, and I'm just rewriting some stuff and reviewing some stuff and doing minor little changes, and I'm counting that as my writing because I'm working on my books and I'm working towards my goal of getting those books finished and written. And at least I was doing that instead of trying to work on something else that was personal, or trying to create a schedule that I know I'm not going to stick to, and that I'm just setting unrealistic expectations for myself that I'm probably not going to meet. Uh, and maybe at some point, as I get enough healing, emotionally healing, spiritually healing, I will be more open and willing to do the physical healing and to do the other things, because it is amazing to me that when you are emotionally traumatized or spiritually weak and not in contact with a higher power, um, your emotions kind of take over. They prevent you, they get in the way of being able to move forward. The negative thoughts and comments like, I'm not good enough, or I can't do this, or someone's going to make fun of me, or I have to make everybody else happy first, or everybody else comes first and I can't take care of myself. I don't have time for myself because I'm spending all of my time and energy doing and fixing and taking care of everybody else. And that's what I was raised with. And so trying to change that is very hard for me to do. But I'm finding that I'm healthier and that I'm happier. And I remember my counselor mentioning to me that, they say it takes 21 days to make a habit. Some say it takes longer than that, whatever it may be. But she says for people that have been traumatized, that have trauma in their lives, that sometimes all it takes is 1 or 2 days to just undo all of that. So you could be doing something really well for like weeks or months, and then all it takes is 1 day of skipping, like 1 day of skipping in my journal, and it's been a month since I've written in my journal, or 1 day of not brushing my teeth before I go to bed, and it's been like a week, you know, like, but I was in the habit of doing that every single day. And you would think that my body would just naturally be like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And it's like, nope, just not going to happen. And it's the emotional side of things. But when I take care of my emotional side of things, when I face those emotions, when I stop and say, okay, Midge, how are you feeling today? What's going on with you today? And I'm willing to write about it. I'm willing to pray about it. I'm willing to ask God to help me figure it out, to give me the answers, the insight. I can sit down and journal. I can sit down and write, and I can feel better. I can figure it out, and I can be like, okay. And once I understand what it is, I can be like, okay, now I understand why I'm doing this, and this is from the past. This is what's currently going on, and this is what I can do. And then I'm free to start doing whatever it is I need to do for the day. And I know all of those things. I've done those things. Those things work. But convincing myself to do them every day, convincing myself to face those fears and those feelings is really hard for me. And even though I know as I faced a lot of those doing these videos, I am not as horrible as I think that I am. My emotions are not as scary and hard to face as I think that they are. It's actually freeing to let myself cry and to feel things. But it does not change the fact that I do not like to feel those feelings, that I do not like to face my feelings, or that I do not like to cry. Those are things that I still do not like to do. But those are things that I feel impressed that I need to work on. But I feel impressed that I need to do those personally, with myself, with God, my higher power, my Savior, and maybe with a few choice friends, and not something that I wish to share in every single one of my videos. Not really sure why I'm choosing to share it in this video. I think I'm just learning, and sometimes I learn a lot of things from these videos, and I hope as I learn and I share what I'm learning, that it helps. And I know sometimes for me, it's kind of random. I've been in 12-step meetings or other things where people come up and tell me I've said something so profound, and I was like, yeah, didn't even know that until it came out of my mouth. So I'm pretty sure that came from God and not from me. And I needed to hear it as much as you did because I need to learn from that. So I think a lot of things that I say in these videos are things that I am realizing in the moment, and they're things that I need to hear as much as I need to share them, probably more than I need to share them. So I feel like that's the case when you're a teacher, especially like I feel like you learn more than the than the students do because you have to go over the lessons, you have to read it, you have to study it, you have to know it inside and out, and then you get all of the information from the other people that are sharing too, and it's like, oh, that's another insight I didn't think. I can add that to this, I can add it to that. So I'm talking like I'm not talking like school teachers, but I'm talking like religious teachers, or because I teach Sunday school and I learn things that way. I know people that teach seminary and institute learn things like that from gospel principles, but I also think other people that do public speaking or teaching about certain things, they have to learn it for themselves, and then they can share it with other people, and they're always open to new insights, to learn new things, because they know they don't know everything, and it's hard to absorb all of that information. And maybe even that works for college teachers or elementary teachers and things like that, because you can always learn stuff from little kids. They, I'm not saying kids say the darndest things, but I'm like, they do, but they have such, it's so simple because they haven't grown up and learned how to complicate life. They're like, it's just this simple. And you try to say, it's not that simple, it's very complicated. And it's like, no, you know what? They're right. It is very simple. And I'm the one that makes it very complicated. I'm the one that complicates my life. I'm the one that tries to avoid things. I'm the one that tries to control the uncontrollable and avoid the unavoidable. That is what I've practiced doing my entire life, which is probably why I feel like I failed a lot of times, and probably why I feel like I'm hitting my head up against a brick wall and I just can't seem to get anywhere because I am trying to control the uncontrollable and avoid the unavoidable. And the sooner I stop trying to avoid and stop trying to control and just let go and let God show me the way and tell me what to do, and trust. That is my biggest issue right there, is trusting, because I don't always trust myself. And so even though I know God hasn't let me down in my life, I have to decide if I'm trusting myself, if these are feelings and inspiration coming from God, or if these are my own crazy ideas, if it's going to work or not work. And I've always put way too much stock in what other people say or what other people think, and not trusted myself, and realizing in retrospect that a lot of those times that I got hurt or something went wrong, it was because I didn't listen to myself. It's because I believed the other person, and they did not have my best interest in mind, which is very sad. But it's learning for me, and I feel like I keep learning the same lessons over and over again. And I keep thinking one of these days I might figure it out, and maybe I will never figure it out. I have no idea, but I do know that I have a tendency to just keep trying, and that by doing these videos, it is preventing me from giving up. And I have been getting very creative in finding ways to follow through with my goals. And I have made it all the way to day 74, and I have done some kind of writing every single day that I can talk about in these videos, which I am very grateful for. And I'm very grateful for the people that are watching me and following me along this journey. And I'm hopeful that there will be more people in the future that may see these. So if you like them, you can hit like, you can subscribe, you can share to other people if you think it will help them too, or if you think they will enjoy my crazy little journey. I think that's all I have for today. So I hope you have a great day full of gratitude, and maybe do some writing.